So, where have you heard of the Big Bad Wolf?
Yeah, I would. It makes me think of like Red Riding Hood, or maybe it was the Three Little Pigs. Was the first time I heard it, but some sort of fairy tale anyway.
So it's interesting. We were just again talking kind of conspiracy theory stuff. It's amazing when you start pulling on a thread of like just anything like that. Like where did it all kind of begin? You just where the hell you're gonna end up?
Yes.
Because even just the Big Bad Wolf as a random like topic that I picked up at something from work, I was like, when you start looking at it, there's all kinds of like roads you can go down with a Big Bad Wolf. So first and foremost is, like you said, the kind of the fairy tale elements. The Grimm fairy tales are only from like the 1800s.
Yeah, they're not that old.
Yeah, relatively speaking, it's not that. Aye.
It's not that old.
Aye. But there's other sources that you can draw from.
Mm-hmm.
So it got me thinking about what's the real Big Bad Wolf, and
Well, like the first one.
yeah, aye, what inspired the story.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like I say, when you start going down that rabbit hole. There's a few theories about it, and one of them involves this guy who supposedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for a belt that lets him turn into a werewolf, and apparently he terrorized like France for about 25 years as a werewolf, and he did lots of horrible things. Like, I mean, he went around sort of basically not teasing's the wrong word, more like kind of Sweeney Todd style.
Just terrorising.
Aye, he terrorised people, but he would also like see their friends and family and be like kind of a Ned Flanders. Oh fuck, ton of cops in there. He wouldn't be like that all the time. Which is how he lasted so long. Yeah. Kind of like Dexter, you know what I mean? He was kind of this happy-go-lucky, and then...
There's a Simpsons episode when Flanders turns into a werewolf as well.
Ah, well, there you go. See? Was Flanders the big bad one?
He just like goes like...
Deadly!
Yeah.
I remember that now that you mention it. So, it's theorised this guy, Peter Shrub, I want to say, was potentially the inspiration for the Big Bad Wolf. Mm-hmm. Because people swear blind that, like, when they caught him, so first of all his victims were found like, chewed up and like they'd been attacked by a wolf. Yeah. Which you could say, well, okay, a human teeth. It's not like they had CSI in those days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the problem. Like old stuff like that, and people might have exaggerated, but who knows?
They swear blind that when they cornered him, he transformed because they chased a wolf down. He transformed back into the guy. He was wearing no clothes. And they were like, I can't believe it's, Peter. Like, I just saw him, like, yesterday. Yeah. He took my daughter to soccer class or whatever, Obviously not in the 1500s, but, just mad shit like that. Yeah.
Women weren't allowed to play soccer back then.
They were genuinely... in complete disbelief it was this guy. Yeah. But they all swear blind that he transformed in front of them. Yeah. And then even before that, there's a story in Norse mythology about the giant Premier. Apologies for the pronunciation, but it's their sort of letter P, it looks like.
I know the
like
symbol.
RYM. RYMR, I think, is the way it's spelled. So I'm pronouncing it like that, but you might not pronounce some of the letters. Oh, I think I forgot what I need to do with him. So quite familiar to the story of like the Big Bad Wolf is the giant, but this giant basically in Norse mythology stole Thor's hammer. And in order to get it back, Thor and Loki went on a fun-filled Asgardian adventure, classic Thor adventure, to get his hammer back. Thor actually dresses up as a potential bride for the giant.
Right.
And as part of the story, the giant, comments on, my, what big eyes you have. And my, what, muscular arms you have.
Yeah, what a what a stout beard you have.
So it's stuff like that. It's like parts of the story do seem to trace back to different things. There's definitely a real life. Well, there's a claim that he was a real ass fucking wolf.
Yeah.
This Peter guy, and then like I say, the earliest one is, and it's just part of the story. So it's how does it all kind of construct together? I suppose.
If you jump. Well, the big bad wolf thing. Did you know the backstory of Remus and Romulus? The backstory of like Rome.
No.
Remus and Romulus were like twins, and they were abandoned in the wild or something like that, and as babies, and a wolf nursed them, basically, like, so that they lived. So they were, they're referred to as like wolves, like Remus Lupin, Professor Lupin from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's why his name's Remus. Remus is like, it means, or it has connotations of like a wolf or something like that. So I mean, I don't know how old that legend or myth or whatever is, but probably very, very old. So that it might be something like that, because I think it was Romulus killed Remus over, they had like a line, and it was like, this is your sort of city and this is my city, and Remus stepped over the line and Romulus just killed him straight up. So that could be where the big bad wolf stuff sort of comes from. It's really interesting as well. I mean, my dissertation at uni went into a lot of this type of stuff, because
is there anything original? Aye.
Yeah, exactly. It went into a lot of this stuff because it's really just fascinating, because there's some of this stuff sort of, it's like it's just collectively in our heads, and that has some pretty strange implications about human hive minds and all that type of crap. Because why does everybody sort of go through the same progressions as babies? Like, why does everybody hold on to furniture to stand and then sort of walk, and then like, why does everybody go through that? On the one hand, it's like that's just a logical progression, but on the other hand, it's like, why does everybody learn these things? Because it's kind of a sci-fi idea, but like the hive mind, and everybody sort of gets these, it's like the shared collective like unconscious. It's really interesting. I like, because apparently certain primates and shit have started using tools, and what's really interesting is they've all kind of started doing it at different parts of the world.
Okay.
Like, there's orangutans over in Asia, I think, started using like spears to hunt fish. So then, like, there was ones way over in like South Africa that started doing it as well. So it's just really weird how they kind of all are evolving at sort of the same, evolving or adapting, I'm not kind of sure what would be the correct term, at the same rate. It's really, really weird. And it makes you wonder, because why do we all recognise these patterns? Because all these patterns exist in every culture, has some sort of creation myth, and yet so many of them are so similar. Like the God or whatever, well, God being a thing. I think it was a brain surgeon reckons he's found what he called the God gene, like the gene in our head that makes you think like God is a thing, which I thought was just so fascinating, because people say, like in religions they say like humans are special because we're like the only ones that have souls, whereas other animals are sort of just part of nature. So the thing is a scientist would try and refute this with, if they found like this God gene in your brain that makes you believe in God, they'd try and use that to refute it. But in some ways, does that not kind of back up the religious idea? Because only we have that, and other animals don't have that. So that could be like a real thing. It's pretty wacky. The like, is anything original stuff? There's the book 7 Basic Plots, which is really good, but it's quite depressing because it made me not enjoy anything for a while, because I was just like, oh, I know what's going to happen, seen it before. But no, it's good.
I wanted to read that actually. Is that where it just explains like the hero's journey?
There's more to it than that. Like it's really interesting, and it talks a lot about different cultures and what have you, and how they.
There's some vertigo expectations.
Yeah, so no, it's definitely worth a read. The whole book is it was tough to not just copy paste it for my dissertation. because it's like well written and everything. It's really nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty spot on, and you're like, well, if I rewrite it, it loses the.
I'll just rewrite it, but worse. So
the original intent might get lost as well. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to write it and rewrite it wrongly.
Yeah. Which is a word. Yeah, wrongly.
You is doing it wrongly.
So what else had I read about? Some other weird conspiracy I'd read about Atlantis. What's your thoughts on Atlantis?
I think Atlantis could be a real thing.
But what do you think? Like, mermaids and stuff lived there, or
no? I think it was
like
on the land. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think it was on land, and then natural disaster ended up submerging the entire city.
That's another interesting one because historically there is actually so many cultures talk about like a great flood, and there's actually areas of the earth where you can find where the water level has risen. So that wacky, it's a show on Netflix. It's like I don't know, aliens about the powers or something like that. But it's on about how they're talking about how could people. It's like the technology they had in terms of boats or whatever they had over here, but these people over here didn't have it. And it's like, how could they have got there? It's like, well, actually, they could have just walked, because back then, the water level was lower. So this part of the ocean wouldn't have been underwater. So there'd been a mission, but you could have just walked.
Yeah, exactly. But we had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You know, you'd go on 30-year treks. You know, potentially never see your loved ones again, but it was more the done thing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get in the heli-chopper? Well, like crystal skulls.
What's the deal with crystal skulls?
Could you make one?
No.
Could anyone?
Yes. Crystal skulls are meant to be. No, but haven't they found
centers of healing?
Not the crap that you buy in gift shops, but haven't they like archaeologists haven't they actually found crystal skulls, or is that like lying about?
Possibly.
Is that nonsense. Who knows? Dinosaurs aren't real, so.
Fucking Finland's not real, Jesus.
Nothing that we dig up is probably reliable, but
questions a whole. You know, I'm all about questioning like things, but that was a step too far for me.
Yeah. People talked about like the Nostradamus predictions and stuff like that because it's so eerie because he predicted stuff that would happen, and it's like one of those things that if you squint, kind of. Like he predict. Some people say he predicted 9/11 because I'm sure he predicted like a catastrophe near the turn of the millennia.
He's like the stray wife we talked about. He's non-specific enough to have gotten away with pretty much anything.
And it's funny because some of the more concrete, this will happen on this day stuff just totally didn't.
No, exactly. Because it never does.
Yeah.
2020.
Just guessing.
2020 was going to be the date. After 2000 didn't happen. 2012 was going to be the year, wasn't it?
Was that the Mayan calendar?
I think so.
Because it stops there.
But the thing is, they gain more followers every time. Every time that they're proven wrong, they actually have been gaining more followers, not losing.
Really?
Yeah, seemingly not losing followers.
Why is that? You think?
Pass, man. No idea.
Yeah, because you think they'd be like, well, you were wrong the last 800 times, but.
Well, it's not been like 800 times, you know what I mean? There is a bit of the fool me once and fool me twice.
Yeah.
It's not been that many times. And there's always the excuse, like, I think you're right there.
Oh, well, we stopped it.
The Mayan yeah, well, I don't know if anyone said that.
Your faith stopped it.
The Mayan calendar is an interesting one, isn't it? It's like, but if you actually rerun the numbers,
Yeah, didn't they say that it's 2020 or something like that? But then
2020's come, come and gone.
In 2020 either.
2050 will come and go, I'm sure, fairly uneventfully. Because 2050 is meant to be when we'll hit the population that the planet is capable of.
Oh, I see.
I rechecked that whole 10 billion thing. You were spot on. We're at 8 billion just now.
Is it about 8 billion?
We're predicted to hit 10 billion at about 2050.
Yeah.
And then things will get interesting.
Because there's people who think we need to depopulate, and I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Purge. I'm all for it. Have I told you I'm pro purge?
What, like just one day a year purge?
One day a year purge. I'm all for like the Purge planet.
Nah, I'm not a fan of that.
You're not a fan of the Purge planet? Why? What's the issues with a Purge plan?
Because
That's a pretty cool mech. Fucking joke.
that is. Just ATST from Star Wars.
I don't even remember fighting it.
I don't either. This must be new.
Commissioner Gordon's a baddie again.
Do your best, Jimbo. I think you're a wee bit outgunned in this one.
I think Star Wars should be putting a copyright claim in though.
Maybe because there's Lego Star Wars as well. Maybe they kind of just cleared it up. They're like, oh,
pre-read it.
Totally different. I like that it has a bow tie and everything.
I like the fact that its feet squeak as it walks.
Yeah. Just like clown shoes.
I'm trying to step on this one, but it won't let me. Okay. I seem fairly invincible as well. I can't seem to be harmed in this.
I watched it seems to be taken down or what have you. I watched an amazing video on YouTube called Wing Chun on a Flat Earth.
Right.
There's Wing Chun is a bit of a joke in terms of like martial arts. It's kind of like considered, you know, like one of the fake ones, and it doesn't really work and stuff. But there was a guy talking about like, oh, it's the best and yada yada yada. I could beat up anybody. And the video was just called Wing Chun on a Flat Earth because like the guy is all that stuff, believes in the flat Earth and lizard overlords and everything.
Oh, the lizard overlords. I didn't even mention lizard overlords. I've heard that about lizard people. That's definitely a thing.
What's the evidence? Evidence?
There's just people claim that they've seen like kind of like Killer Croc, and again it will relate to people with this sort of like, I don't know, full body like skin conditions. They've seen people who have that sort of appearance. Therefore, if they exist, then surely lizard people by definition exist.
No.
Seen them in freak shows. They're not just human in nature.
But is this like a group of people that? Because I thought the Queen was meant to be a lizard. Like I thought that was.
Yeah. I mean, there's the debate of is it's actually like groups of people.
Yeah, that secretly run the planet.
Well, they don't. No, I mean, I don't think there's a claim they run the planet, but there's a claim that they're knowingly in competition to run the planet.
Right.
It's just that the US government and whoever else tolerate them because they, provide valuable resource.
Okay.
Who do you think keeps the sewer systems running? Who rigs every poker night?